Okay, let's finish up Jabotinsky here, and then we'll talk about a few general things. There's a lot more people we could read, but I think that you can read some of these folks on your own. Let's see. So let's just finish this testimony. We got to the end of it. I just wanted you to know how he finished it up so you can understand where he was coming to. But I think it's a very, I'm glad he included this passage because it really is very well constructed and leads to that conclusion where he threatens them. So he doesn't break down crying, he threatens them with revolt, basically. And if they hadn't gotten him out of Palestine, it probably would have happened, actually. And that's what Wingate wanted to do, actually, in 1936. He went to the Zionist leadership and he proposed leading a revolt himself in Palestine against the British administration because he thought it was so unjust. And they were just astonished that a British officer would come to them and propose such a thing. He wanted to raid the Haifa oil refinery and take it over and so on. Because he'd already trained the Jewish fighting units to protect the pipelines and everything. He had trained future leaders of Israel, people like Moshe Dayan and others who later became well known. So Jabotinsky on page 566 and 567 is talking about, he wants an investigation. He says someone is guilty. And he wants legalization of Jewish self-defense, and he wants to open up both sides of this Jordan River for settlement of both Jews and Arabs. Not just give the area across the Jordan to King Abdullah from Mecca, who has no business being here in the first place, and for services rendered to the British Crown in 1917. You just don't give a family a piece of territory when a whole people is about to perish, and you've been instructed and you've taken on a mandate to try to build a homeland for these people. And then you give it all away to someone for political reasons. I mean, this is what nobody ever recognizes. I mean, sure, James Baker knows nothing about this. You know, these people come along and make their commissions and their studies, and basically they're doing what Baker did in the first Iraq War. He did the same thing which the British are doing to Jabotinsky. He, for the first time, would not let the Israelis respond to the Scud missile attacks from Iraq. He forbade them to respond in kind. The Israelis have never done that, not responded to a military attack. We made basically ghetto Jews out of them. We'll protect you. The Americans will protect you. And we see how the Americans protected them. And, you know, and so on. So he didn't want them to, and they didn't respond to the Scud missile attacks. That was an incredible moment in their history. And we look back on, I'm talking about, you people don't probably remember that, and it was only about 15 years ago. But that was a real turning point in the history of Israel. And now this guy's back again, this Baker. He hasn't done enough damage to everybody. He's going to tell us how to solve the Iraq question. Who asked him? Who invited him? He doesn't know anything about the Middle East. And none of the people on his committee know anything about the Middle East. Not one Middle Eastern historian. What is the Supreme Court Justice? What's her name? Day O'Connor. What does she know? What is the fellow who used to be the governor of Virginia, who was a Marine guard in the White House and married Lyndon Johnson's daughter, and then was thrown out of his who was thrown out of his governorship in Virginia because he was having affairs with people? What's his name, that fellow? He's on the committee too. Huh?
Patrick's son.
No, not Patrick. What's his name?
Well, I thought you were talking about Kennedy, no?
Oh, no, the guy on the committee. He digs these non-entities up out of nowhere and sticks them on this committee. And they're supposed to tell everyone how we're going to solve the Middle East problem. Oh, what's this guy's name? It's on the tip of my tongue. He married Johnson's daughter, Linda Bird Johnson. And then he was a Marine Guard in the White House. Then he got through that, the Johnson family connections. He got to be a political figure and governor of Virginia. And then he got thrown out because he was caught in motels with his trousers somewhere where they shouldn't be. And so Chuck Robb, his name is, Charles Robb. You guys don't even know him. And he's on the committee. He's going to tell us how to solve the Middle East question. It's a total joke, you see. But as long as it says committee to solve the Iraq question, the committee has told us how to do this. Yeah. Fortunately, Junior Bush is a very stubborn person. So stubborn beyond no one could have imagined how stubborn he is. So he doesn't usually listen to committees. So this is one committee I think you'll do well to ignore. But who knows what he's got. You can never know with Junior Bush what he's got up in store next. It's always you never know what's coming. So. And also he says, on the Jewish side, reforms are necessary, bottom of 567. And the Jewish agency, I told you about the Jewish agency, should be reformed. It doesn't represent the whole or even majority of Zionist Jews. We are not involved in it. It's only labor Zionists. This should be rebuilt. I can agree to him. I knew what the Jewish agency was when I was in Israel in different times from about the 1960s to the 1990s. I spent time now and then in Israel. And the Jewish agency was always a joke. And I have to be honest, family members of mine worked for the Jewish agency. I met them there, and I don't think that they really knew what was going on in the world at all. But anyway, leave that aside. He wants to reform even the Jewish side too. And we think time has come, with the consent of the mandatory, that it should be universal suffrage, which have proper elections to this body. We think reform is quite timely. One of them, we will be brought to the knowledge of this commission, the report of the Betar. Are you going to tell us what is misleading? What is the main point? There's been misleading information. Yes, if you would allow me about 10 minutes. I'm asking that we are trying to involve, we're trying to involve this empire for medical complications and obstacles. I deny it. I am the only one that should Great Britain go this way and really help us, to the best of my belief I affirm, and I'm not the only one, that should Great Britain go this way and really help us to save the Jewish people as it was meant and promised in the Balfour Declaration, the course of this great experiment will be as normal as the course of any other great enterprise in social,